Hi, my name is Andrew, and this is Lab 1, the amount of excess charge in an ordinary object. So excess charge can be added to many everyday objects depending on the composition. Conductors allow much flow of charge across the material, whereas insulators constrain the movement of the charge. This excess charge is either a surplus or a deficiency of electrons on the object, or an imbalance of partial charges across an atom or molecule. A negative charge can be imparted to a clear plastic rod by vigorous rubbing on hair, fur, or clothing. That is particularly important in this experiment. And since we know that like charged objects repel, we can use the distance of this repulsion, in this case a stand-in for the strength, to calculate the magnetic field around a charged strip of tape acting on another charged strip of tape. In this, we'll use Coulomb's law and Newton's laws of motion. So some assumptions we make in our methodology. We're going to construct an apparatus with two charged pieces of tape, one over the other, and orient them in such a way that gravity provides an equal and opposite force to the repulsion of the like charged strips of tape. So here the tape used was 0.019 meters in width, and the length was 0.017 meters, and we assumed that the mass of the tape is about 1 gram per meter. So here are some pictures of the experiment. Figure 2 here shows a charged rod, in this case a ruler. It is attracting a charged piece of tape that is in this case positively charged, while also repelling another piece of charged tape right next to it. So figure 3 has a picture of the tape actually being repelled, and Figure 4 shows the constructed apparatus using, some books and stuff like that we had around the house. Additionally, the distance measured was just observed on the ruler next to the apparatus there. So in terms of the results, we found that the charge on the tape was around 2 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, from which one derives the amount of deficient electrons in the tape as 1.27 times 10 to the 13. This gives a very high ratio of deficiency of, a very low ratio of deficiency of 1 to 3.94 times 10 to the 5, missing electrons to normal surface atoms on the tape. Here we have a force diagram showing the 2-point charges and how everything is sort of aligned in the experiment there. Point charge A is the blue sphere, point charge B is a red sphere. The green arrow is the electric force of repulsion, and the orange arrow are field lines. The white arrow there represents the force of gravity pulling down on that system. So here we have the steps taken to calculate these results. And part B here, we also assume that there is a uniform layer of atoms about 1 atom thick on the sides of the tape, and we estimate their size to get that ratio there. So in conclusion, the results obtained for the charge of the strip, they align with the range that we would expect to see of these values, and the ratio of charge imbalance aligns with induced dipole effect on an insulator. In this case, the experimental technique could be a source of error, as measurements taken during the experiment were taken while holding the tape. Obviously, it was kind of hard to get a good angle there. There are other assumptions made that could affect the accuracy of the results as well, such as the uniformity of the atoms in the tape and the assumption that the charges in the tape were exactly equal. For this experiment, we constructed a code based on Lab 0. Here on the right, we have a summary, or I guess the entirety of the code here, with arrows pointed out to different areas depending on the function of that code. Portions of the code, were for coding the objects of the charged particles, displaying calculations, showing force vector arrows, and on the left here, you can see a screenshot of the final product there with the displayed values and the picture itself. In this experiment, I used GlowScript 3 to encode everything, and some of the pictures were obtained via the lab instruction guide for this. Thank you, and have a good day.